everybody, my name is Kairoth, and today we are back with another Project POLARO challenge. This time we are going to be taking on the Elite Four, using Ash Ketchum's Hoenn team from the Pokemon Advance anime. That means the final team has to be Pikachu, Sceptile, Swellow, Corphish, Torkoal, and Glalie. So this is going to be lovely. So subscribe if you're new, and without further ado, let's do this. The challenge begins with Professor Oak telling me what Pokemon are, which I get it, old man. I've been doing this for a long time. Since Pikachu is only a wild encounter, I picked Trico as my starter, which actually works perfectly because Ash did have a Sceptile in Hoenn. Then Gary Oak, my sneaky rival and the grandson of Professor Oak, immediately challenged me. And he destroyed my face. So, already this round was starting off pretty accurate to Ash Ketchum. After getting humbled by Gary, I went straight to Route 1 and used the Hunt command to auto-encounter Pokemon until I finally found Pikachu. And once I saw that little rodent, I knew I had to catch him. So I tossed a Pokeball, and the team has already started. Pikachu, I did some training to get the team ready, and while I was training, I ended up running into a wild Charmander. And I'm not going to lie, this one hurt a bit, because Charizard would have been amazing for this challenge. But unfortunately, Ash does not use his Charizard in his main Hoenn team. So as painful as it was, I had to take it out. After that emotional betrayal, I returned Oak's parcel, and then Gary told me to meet him on Route 22 for another battle, because apparently destroying me once just wasn't enough for him. So after that, I made my way over to Route 22 to battle Gary, and of course, the second I got there, bro immediately started yelling at me. So then he threw out his little fox Eevee, and I led with Pikachu, and Pikachu actually got hit pretty hard, but ended up paralyzing Eevee with its static ability. But even with the paralysis, Eevee still managed to take Pikachu down. So I sent in Trico, and Trico was able to finish it off. And then Gary threw out Piplup, and at this point, Trico was already pretty low in health, and was honestly a little nervous because I'm pretty sure Piplup has Peck. But then Mega Drain came in so clutch, and Trico hit Piplup, healed back a good amount of damage, and somehow pulled through for the win. Hold this L, Gary. Finally putting Gary in his place, I headed toward Route 2 and made my way into Viridian Forest, and while training through the forest, Trico evolved into Grovyle. Then I encountered a Leddyba, but for some reason, this thing had no sprite. Like, bro, what's wrong with Leddyba? I don't know what happened, but Pikachu did not care because he murdered it. After escaping the cursed, spriteless Leddyba, I finally made it into Pewter City, and right in front of the Pokemon Center, there was a player named Jar Jar Binks Gurr. Now, this random-looking player is actually going to be very important, because this is my alt account on my laptop, and this is how I'm going to get Taillow. Normally, in this game, you can't encounter Taillow in the wild until you get to Elegant Valley, which is an area at the end game, and I'm not going to wait until end game to get a freaking Taillow. So I went onto my better save file, caught a Taillow, leveled it down to level 5 with Common Candy, traded it to my alt account. Then once I beat the first gym and unlock trading, my alt will trade Taillow over to me. So basically I had to do a whole side quest just to get Ash's bird, but yeah, I'm smart. After all that, it was finally time to challenge the first gym leader, Brock, and honestly, this battle was not even close. Brock left with Geodude, and I threw out Grovyle, and one Mega Drain later, Geodude was gone. Shocker, right? And then Brock sent out Onix, and believe it or not, Onix also got destroyed. So just like that, Grovyle swept Brock's entire gym, and we had officially won the Boulder Badge. That's one badge down, and Ash's Hoenn team was already carrying. After winning the Boulder Badge, trading was finally unlocked, so I immediately went to trade Taillow from my alt account over to my main save. But Project POLARO does not just let you receive a Pokemon for free. The game makes you trade something in return, so I had to make the ultimate sacrifice. That random spriteless Leddyba from Viridian Forest. I traded that broken little creature away, and in return I finally got Taillow, and just like that, we officially had Ash's bird on the team. Now listen, this is not cheating, I swear on Arceus. I did what had to be done because the game, for whatever reason, decided to lock this bird behind an endgame area. So with Taillow finally added to the squad, we headed toward Route 3 to continue our journey. In Taillow, we made our way through Route 3 at Mount Moon, and honestly, nothing really happened here. So we just got through pretty quickly and made our way into Cerulean City, which meant it was time to face Misty. And if you watched my last Project POLARO challenge, you already know Misty gave me severe PTSD. But this time, I had Grovyle, so I had high hopes for this battle. So then it was time to fight Misty, and she led with Staryu, and I led with Pikachu, because Pikachu actually started off pretty strong, and hit Staryu with Thunderbolt, doing some really good damage, but somehow Pikachu got outsped, and then Pikachu got taken down. I was flabbergasted, like, bro, this is literally the one battle Pikachu is supposed to be useful in. So after Pikachu got folded by the Starfish, I sent in Grovyle, and Grovyle came in and cleaned up Staryu with Mega Drain, and then Misty sent out Starmie, and I already knew this could be really annoying, especially after what happened in my last challenge, but 3 Mega Drains later, and Starmie finally went down. So even though Pikachu sold the easiest matchup of his life, Grovyle once again carried the team and won us the Cascade. So I didn't get this part on camera, but before heading into Vermilion City, I did some training, and once I finally made it to the city, I actually did not fight Surge right away. Instead, I grabbed the fishing rod and started fishing, because there was one very important Pokemon I needed for the team, and after a little while, I finally found it, and it was Corphish. This is another member of Ash's team, but unfortunately, this one is not allowed to evolve, because for some reason, the Pokemon Riders just did not want Ash to have a Crawdaunt. Which is tragic, because Crawdaunt would have been so much better for this challenge, but rules are rules. So Corphish had to stay a tiny angry crab the entire run. And the worst part was this thing was only level 6, so now I had to do an insane amount of training just to make Corphish usable and catch him up with the rest of the team. And while I was doing all that training to catch Corphish up, Tailo finally evolved into Swellow, so now Ash's bird was fully evolved and ready to start putting in the work. While training Corphish, something even crazier happened. Grovyle evolved into Sceptile. And this is before I've even fought the 3rd gym. This is actually diabolical, man. After building up the team a little more, I finally made my way to Vermilion City Gym to challenge Lieutenant Surge. Surge led with Voltorb, and I led with Sceptile, and this was just not fair. 1 Giga Drain later, Voltorb was gone. How lovely. Then Surge sent out Magneton, and this one actually took a bit longer because Magneton's part Steel type, and at this point, I still don't have a Fire type yet. So Sceptile couldn't just delete it, but he did eventually take it down, and then Surge sent out his Raichu, and I was thinking, okay, maybe this thing will actually do something, which it didn't. Raichu was gone 2 Giga Drains later. Then Surge sent out Pikachu, and 1 Leaf Blade later, the thing got sent back to Ash's lab. God, Sceptile's a beast! So just like that, Sceptile basically soloed the entire gym and won us the Thunder Badge. Then immediately after the battle, Corphish tried to evolve. This actually hurt, man. It just stared at me, begging, wanting to be a Crawdaunt so bad. And I had to look this poor little crab in the eyes and say, "Not in this life, little one. I'm sorry, Corphish. The Pokemon anime writers did this to you, not me." We continued the journey and made our way through Route 12. And while I was walking through the route, I encountered a wild Quaxly. Now listen, for one tiny second, I'm like, man, I want to use Quaxly. Psych! You said no one ever. Hardy har har har. After surviving the terrifying Quaxly jump scare, I eventually made it to Lavender Town and found this Valkyrie Helm guy who had a lucky egg for me. And obviously, I needed that for extra XP, so I stole it from him. With the lucky egg secured, I went into the Pokemon Tower, and it was time to battle Gary again. So Gary led with Pidgeotto, and I led with Pikachu. And for once, Pikachu actually remembered he was Pikachu. 1 Thunderbolt later, and Pidgeotto was gone. Then Gary sent out Charmeleon, so I threw in Corphish, and my tiny angry crab actually put in the work, taking Charmeleon down. But unfortunately, Charmeleon hit Corphish with Ember and got the burn. So Corphish won the fight. But at what cost? Then Gary sent out Ivysaur, and I sent in Swellow. 2 Air Slashes later, Ivysaur was gone. After that, Gary threw out Wartortle, and Sceptile did what Sceptile does best. It one-shot it. That was so easy. That was easier than the second rival battle. So after giving Ari another beautiful L, I made my way to the top floor of the Pokemon Tower, where it was time to fight Giovanni. Giovanni led with Onix, and I led with Corphish, and Corphish instantly one-shot it. Then Giovanni sent out Golem, and Corphish would have one-shot that too. But of course, Golem had Sturdy. So Corphish had to take a hit. The next turn, it finished Golem off. Sadly, though, after carrying the first half of the battle, Corphish finally went down to the burn. Rest in peace, little angry crab. Then Giovanni sent out Nidoking, so I sent in Sceptile to do some big damage. And Sceptile did hit hard, but not hard enough to one-shot. So I sent in Swellow, and thankfully, a quick attack was enough to finish Nidoking off. Also, did you guys know Nidoking is only 4'7"? I'm literally 5'8", so I'm a short king, but at least I'm not Nidoking short. After beating Giovanni, I made a beeline straight for Celadon City, but not to fight Erica yet. Before doing that, I had one very important mission. I need to get the final 2 team members of Ash's Hoenn team. So I went to the Pokemon Center and talked to the yellow NPC that teleports you to the mysterious grotto. Once I got there, I ran straight into the brown patch of grass and started auto-hunting until I finally encountered Torkoal. I weakened it, threw the Pokeball, and caught it. So now we finally had Ash's depressed fire turtle on the team. And shortly after that, I went into the white patch of grass inside the cave and found Snowrun. I caught it too, which meant we now officially had every member of Ash's hoenn team. Catching Torko and Snowrun, I went back to Celadon City and did some training. Once the team was looking a little better, I ran into Erica's gym and challenged her. I led Torkoal and Erica led with Tanglin. Now obviously Torkoal is about as fast as a grandma walking through Walmart with no shopping list, so Tangla got to move first, but that did not matter at all because Torkoal fired back and one-shot it. Then Erica sent out Grookey, and Torkoal one-shot that too. Then Erica sent out Vileplume, and 2 flamethrowers later it was down, and then finally Erica sent out Victory Bell, and after 2 more flamethrowers, Victory Bell went down as well. So just like that, Torkoal completely cooked Erica's entire gym, and we won the Rainbow Badge. After winning the Rainbow Badge, I did even more training because next up was Koga, and I already knew I could not just walk into that gym unprepared. But during the training, something huge happened. Snowrun evolved into Glalie, which meant Ash's hoenn team was now 100% complete. After a very long training session, the team was finally ready to keep moving, so I started making my way through the next route, which was absolutely packed with trainers. And naturally, I battled every single one of them for experience. I'm just kidding. I avoided every trainer I possibly could. After dodging every trainer I possibly could, I made it to Fuchsia City, and the second I got there, I went straight to Koga's gym. Koga led with Coughing, and I led with Glalie. Glalie started off strong, hitting Coughing with 2 ice beams and knocking it out. But then Koga sent out Gengar, which was a problem because I really did not have great coverage for Gengar. I mean, I had a few Dark-type moves, but nothing that made this battle easy. So after a few revives, some stalling, and a lot of praying, I slowly chipped Gengar down with Crunch and Ice Fang until it finally went down. That thing was way more annoying than it needed to be. Then Koga sent out Weezing and I sent in Swellow. Swellow did a ton of damage before eventually falling, but it did enough for Pikachu to come in and finish the job. And then after that, Koga sent out Muk, and Pikachu actually did some really solid damage before going down, and then Torkoal came in to clean it up and take down the Muk. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we defeated Koga and won the Soul Badge. Honestly, that battle was a little messy, but a win is a win. After beating Koga and winning the Soul Badge, we headed toward Saffron City to face Sabrina, but before that, I found this rich trainer who gave me 24,000 Pokédollars. I may have found a nice little exploit here. Anyway, after robbing the economy, I walked into Silphco, and of course, sitting there waiting for me was Gary. Gary led with Pidgeot and I led with Pikachu, and Pikachu did pretty good here. He landed a few Thunderbolts and Pidgeot went down. Then Gary sent out Golem, so I sent in Corphish, and once again, Corphish would have one-shot it. But of course, Golem had Sturdy, because why would this game let me have fun? Corphish took a hit and unfortunately went down, but Sceptile came in and finished the job. Then Gary sent out Charizard, and this was a bit terrifying, so I sent in Torkoal, mostly to take hits and give me time to revive the team, which Torkoal got a few body slams off as well, and somehow he got lucky enough and paralyzed the Charizard. That was pretty big for us, but Torkoal eventually went down, but the paralysis gave Pikachu the opening he needed, and Pikachu came in and took the Charizard down. Then Gary sent out Nidoking. Pikachu got a little bit of damage off and set up a light screen before going down, which helped a lot, and after that, Sceptile came in and finished the Nidoking off. Next was Venusaur. Venusaur outsped Torkoal and poisoned it, but Torkoal did not care. One flamethrower later, Venusaur was gone. Finally, Gary sent out Blastoise. I sent in Glalie, and Glalie managed to bring Blastoise into the yellow before falling, and that was all I needed because Sceptile came in, looked at Blastoise, and destroyed it. And just like that, Gary took another L. At this point, I don't know why he keeps challenging me. Bro's just farming losses. After bruising Gary's ego once again, it was finally time to face Sabrina. So I walked into the gym, and Sabrina led with Kadabra, and I led with Sceptile. But I actually had a plan, because Sceptile had bug coverage, and one X-Scissor later, Kadabra went down. Then Sabrina sent out Venomoth, so I switched into Torkoal, and Torkoal did exactly what Torkoal does best. It moved slower than a school Chromebook loading Google Docs, but once it finally attacked, 2 flamethrowers were enough to take Venomoth out. Then came Sabrina's ace, Alakazam. I sent Sceptile back in, and this was honestly the biggest threat of the fight. Alakazam is fast, hits hard, and is usually annoying to deal with, but Sceptile came through. A few X-Scissors later, Alakazam went down. Finally, Sabrina sent out Mr. Mime, and I sent in Glalie to finish the job. Glalie handled it, and just like that, the Marsh Badge was ours. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people forget that Bug is super effective against Psychic. So I'm here to remind you, it is. Type matchups are important, people. At this point in the challenge, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just wanted it to be over. So after beating Sabrina, I did a little bit more training, ran past the water power plant, and headed straight up to Mount Cinnabar. Once I got there, I wasted no time and went directly into Blaine's gym. Blaine led with Growlithe and I led with Glalie. Now yes, leading with an ice type into a fire gym sounds like a terrible idea, and it was, but Glalie had water pulse, and I was honestly afraid Corphish was going to get absolutely mopped if I threw in too early. So Glalie stayed and managed to take Growlithe down, but not before taking a lot of damage. Then Blaine sent out Ponytail. I brought in Pikachu first and managed to get a paralysis, and then after that, Corphish came in and finished the job with Crabhammer. Then Blaine sent out Charizard, and of course this man Mega evolved it, because apparently a normal Charizard just wasn't disrespectful enough. I wanted to get a light screen up with Pikachu, so I kept Pikachu in, expecting it to outspeed, which it did not, and Pikachu got one shot, and then Charizard just started destroying my team. There was really nothing I could do. None of my Pokemon could outspeed it, so what I had to do was I had to start spamming revives and just let Charizard slowly destroy itself with Flare Blitz recoil. It was not respectable, but honestly, I do not care. It worked. After Charizard finally took itself out, Blaine sent in Rapidash. I sent Corphish back out, and one Crabhammer later, Rapidash was gone, and then Arcanine came in, and Corphish handled that pretty quickly too. So, yeah, this definitely was not the cleanest gym battle in the world, but a badge is a badge. Give me that Volcano badge, old man. After that very ugly win against Blaine, I did some more training off camera, and it was finally time to return to Viridian City and challenge the final gym leader, Giovanni. Walked to the gym, I challenged him, and he immediately led with Garchomp. Thankfully, Sceptile was ready, because this could have been really bad, and Sceptile came in and took Garchomp out, giving us a pretty strong start. Then Giovanni sent out Nidoking, and I switched into Glalie, and Glalie handled Nidoking and took it down. And after that, Giovanni sent out Swampert, and I love Swampert. Mudkip is literally my favorite Pokemon, but this was not a time for mercy. Sceptile came back in and hit it with a 4-time super effective Leaf Blade. Then Giovanni sent out Gliscor. This took a little longer, but Sceptile slowly chipped it down and eventually took it out too. Then came the real problem, Mewtwo. And of course, Giovanni Mega evolved it. This battle turned into an absolute disaster. There were a lot of revives, a lot of healing, and a lot of suffering, but somehow after a lot of surviving and praying, Sceptile landed a critical hit in Night Slash and finally took Mega Mewtwo down, which was huge. And Giovanni sent out his final Pokemon, Crocodile, and after everything we had gone through, Corphish came in and ended it with Crabhammer. So just like that, Giovanni was defeated and the Earth badge was mine, and Ash's Hoenn team had officially earned a ticket to the Pokemon League. Before going into Victory Road, I had to do a lot of prep, because basically at this point the normal game was over. Now we are getting ready for the Elite Four, so first I leveled every Pokemon up to level 100 using the XP bot, then I stacked up on heals and revives because of Project POLARO. These are not optional. They are basically a requirement. After that, I used Nature Mist to fix my Pokemon's nature, changed up their movesets, trying to make Ash's Hoenn team as ready as possible for the league. Once all the prep was finally done, we entered Victory Road. And my very first encounter was a Gibble. Now, I would definitely be using this thing in the Sinnoh Team Challenge, which will also be very painful because for some reason, the Pokemon writers never let Ash evolve his Gibble into Garchomp. So thank you, anime writers. You have cursed me once again. After that, we traveled through Victory Road, made it all the way to the Indigo Plateau, and got ready for the final challenge. So the first Elite Four battle was Lorelei. She led with Cloyster and I led with Pikachu. And Pikachu actually did pretty good and took down Cloyster pretty quickly. Then she sent out Glalie and Mega evolved it, so I sent in Torkoal, and Torkoal won the matchup because Fire Turtle beats Angry Ice Ball. Then out came Glacier. I sent out Corphish, Brick Break came in clutch and took it down. After that, Lorelei sent out Galarian Darmanitan, and Torkoal just one-shot it. Then came White Kyurem, because apparently Lorelei just casually has one in her back pocket. I sent in Sceptile, did a lot of damage with Dragon Pulse, but Kyurem ended up taking Sceptile down, so Swallow came in, outsped, and finished it off. Finally, Lorelei sent out Weavile, and Torkoal took it down to win us the battle. So that was Lorelei defeated. It was only going to get downhill from here. The next battle was against Bruno. Bruno led with Hawlucha, and I led with Torkoal. And after taking a few hits, Torkoal was able to take down the Wrestling Bird. I love Torkoal's defensive stats. Next came Terrakion, and Sceptile absolutely destroyed it. So much for Swords of Justice Legendary now. Then Bruno sent out Pheromosa, and Torkoal handled that one as well. After that came your Shifu Rapid Strike, and Pikachu actually came through and took it down. Then Bruno sent out Lucario and Mega Evolved it, and this could have been scary, but I sent Torkoal back in and abused Lucario's part Steel typing. And a few hits later, Mega Lucario went down pretty fast. Finally, Bruno sent out Conkeldurr, and Swallow came in to finish the battle. So Bruno was defeated, but these next two battles are going to be pretty rough. Next battle was against Agatha, and I'm going to be honest, I actually forgot to record most of this battle, so I apologize for that. The only part I got was the last two Pokemon, and at that point, Agatha still had Mega Gengar, and I was able to take it out with Glalie. Then her final Pokemon was Giratina, because of course she had just the god of the distortion world chilling in her back pocket. But anyway, Glalie did a lot of damage before eventually going down, but it did enough damage, and Sceptile came in and finished the job, winning me the battle. It's time for Lance, and I'm going to make this battle sound quicker than it actually was because this dude is ridiculously overpowered and needs nerfed immediately. I used most of my revives and heals against this lunatic. Lance led with Latios, as Sceptile was able to take it down. Then came Salamis, so of course Lance Mega Evolved it. Sceptile did a ton of damage to Mega Salamis before getting one shot by Double Edge, but luckily Salamis took itself out with Recoil. So technically Sceptile got the job done. Then came Garchomp, and nothing on my team could outspeed this thing. So this part basically turned into a Revive War, and for whatever reason, every time Garchomp attacked it took recoil damage, so I just kept reviving Pokemon and letting it slowly destroy itself. Eventually Garchomp went down, and then Lance sent out a freaking Dialga. So even more revives had to be used before Sceptile finally took it out with Focus Blast. And then after that, Eternatus. Bro, I was so ticked. This thing wasted even more of my revive. Eventually Eternatus took itself out, and then Lance sent out his final Pokemon, Goodra. Glalie came in, hit with Ice Beam and froze it, and then bullied the Goo Dragon until it finally went down. And with that, Lance was defeated. Screw Lance. That is all I have to say after that. So finally, it was time to face Gary Oak for the championship. Gary led with Machamp, and Sceptile took it out pretty quickly. Then came Heracross, and Torkoal handled it. After that, Gary sent out Tyranitar, and Sceptile took it down with 3 Giga Drains. I sent in Torkoal, and Torkoal did a good amount of damage with Earthquake and even burned it with Will-O-Wisp before going down. And Sceptile came in and cleaned it up. Then Gary sent out Arceus, and Swallow took out the god of Pokemon. After Arceus finally went down, Gary's last Pokemon was Mewtwo, and Sceptile came in and took it out. And just like that, Ash Ketchum's Hoenn team had defeated the Elite Four, beaten Gary Oak, and won the championship. After the battle, I looked at my team, and I was proud of them. I looked back at the Pokemon League building and walked away smiling. If you guys are new, please subscribe. This video took a very long time to make, so liking the video and showing some support would genuinely mean a lot. I'm still a small YouTuber, and every bit of support helps. And I hope you guys enjoyed Ash's Hoenn team taking on Project POLARO's Elite Four. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. Peace.